Welcome to It Starts With Courage podcast with Kat and Jen. What is it? It's everything. Everything you want in life starts with courage. Woo! Welcome back, Jen.
Welcome back, Kat.
Welcome back. You know, I was thinking on my way here, how much things have changed. Not only our relationship from the time we met and I had such a cold face.
Yes, you did.
But also just how things have changed in both our lives. Like you have gone into these crazy business ventures. You're so successful in your real estate, selling millions a year. And not only that, like when we met, you were helping me buy a house. We've now done other things with that house and onto another house. But also just with Instagram, my Instagram didn't exist when we first met.
That's right.
It's crazy, like how everything has just changed. Like these last couple of years, like change is important,
Yes,
right?
super important. And I feel like people are like, either you love change or you hate change.
Yep.
I know that one time I came to my office and my assistant, Kelly, she loves change.
Yeah.
So like every couple months she's rearranging her house or she's rearranging her office or whatever. So I came to the office one day and she had rearranged my whole office.
Everything.
Everything was in a different spot. My desk was facing different, everything. So I sat down. I was totally discombobulated. I sat down for like 5 minutes.
You wanted to change it back.
I was like, I'm sorry. You're going to have to change all of this back to exactly where it was.
Feng shui, Jen.
I'm sorry. There's like some things that I just struggle with change. But then there's other things that I love about change.
Right.
And so I feel like you're like a love it or hate it person. But when we break down change, I feel like change is what we hate about it is that first little bit.
Right. The unknown.
The first little bit of uncomfortableness because we operate in a comfort zone.
That's
right?
changing your temperature.
Yep. We operate in a comfort zone. So like an opportunity comes and it's like, oh,
yeah,
that's going to be a big change. Like, do I want to
embrace
embrace
is scary.
that?
It's the idea. I think it's just the idea that it's a change, or when you put a label on it that you're changing.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Like, I mean, I do agree with you that first part is, it feels like it's negative and we don't think about the positive
Right.
that could come from it.
It's frustrating. It's like I tell my husband, you give me a new car, a new computer, and a new phone. Some people would think, oh,
Yes.
like that's so amazing. You hit the jackpot. I'm like so mad because I don't know how to work anything. I can't do anything.
Yep.
And
That's just us in old age. I think that's what it is. Because look at how excited kids get. New video game, new this. You know, and in just saying that, I wonder if, just as a thought, the older we get, do you think we fear change more because we try and be in control a little bit more? Just something, and I want to take this to you. When I met you, you worked with a real estate company, a different real estate company to who you work with. Wow, like even up until now,
I've been with. This is my third company I've been with. But so I was with the first company when I worked with you.
And it's only gotten better and better. What was that process of change like for you? Like I know a lot of us look to change things in our work life.
So I was with one of the national companies that I loved. I mean, there was nothing really wrong with the company that I was with. And another company came up and I started kind of hearing about them and reading some of the things about this company. And it was very intriguing to me. And when I would ask people in my circle, in my current company, like who I was with, about this new company, like it was all negative.
Right.
Everything was negative. And I just kept hearing conflicting sides. And I've had that a couple times in my life where I've heard conflicting sides of things. And it made me realize that, when it comes to a big decision and big change in my life, I have to do the research myself.
Right.
And I feel like because everybody is at a different place in their life.
Yep.
Their life is at a different trajectory. They have a different lid of change and discomfort than I have. So for me to just like listen to other people that don't know the other side, that haven't been with another company, and this is just an example. But I went ahead and did my own research, and I then had to decide, like, hey, like, you know what? Like, what's the worst that can happen?
Right.
What if I leave this company and I go to another company?
What's the worst that
What's the worst that can happen?
Right.
I don't like it. What happens then? I change. I go back to where I was.
I mean, I like that you said that. That it's the unknown. So it's really the unknown about change. And as you said, like when we speak to other people, a lot of times we tend to go and make a decision based on what somebody else has experienced when they, I suppose, went for this change or attempted to change, shall I say. And I think what this maybe shows us is that, to be honest with you, like in order to experience true change, that does come with a certain level of an unknown. You're not going to know the result of changing or experiencing true change until you've gone through it. So whether it's positive or whether it's negative. And if, for example, you decided not to change companies and rob yourself off of that change, there's so many things that you could have potentially robbed yourself off of, like compared to let's say where you are now. It was almost like a stepping stone from one to the other to the other. In order to experience true change, you have to be willing to experience the unknown.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like you have to have like an open mind. I think that's a big part of change. I remember a few years ago, I had one assistant and she quit. And then I mentioned Kelly, my assistant now. She's been with me for like 4 years, I think.
Yeah.
She came to me and she was like, hey, I'm interested in working for you as your assistant. My old assistant that quit worked 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. And Kelly came to me and she was like, hey, like, I want to work for you, but I need to work 8 to 2 Monday through Thursday with Fridays off. And my first like instinct was like, oh God, like,
because we're all used to 8 to 5.
You're used to 8 to 5. This is going to be a change. I have closings on Fridays. Like, what am I going to do with no assistant on a Friday? Like, how is this going to work? But in the moment, I knew she was a talented person. And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. And what's the worst that can happen, right? Like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. She'll have to either work more hours or I'll have to find somebody else. But I know this person. I know their character. I know their heart. Great person. And like, we've built businesses together now. For me to take an opportunity to take a chance on something that was unknown.
Right.
And it turned out to be great. So I guess this episode today is just to encourage anybody out there that is kind of like sitting in a neutral. There maybe have an opportunity to start a new job or
just feel there's something out there.
Yeah. Chase a different career, do something that is fulfilling to you. Like, I just don't want people to fear change.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? Sorry to cut in. Is that we always think about the fear as we think, what's the worst that could happen? What about changing it to what's the best that could happen?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That changes everything.
Right.
And it brings a different energy to
It does.
whatever you're looking to go into when you think, if I do this, this could happen and this could happen. Not, obviously it's great to have a contingency or think of, but what is the best that could happen?
I had a friend of mine I was kind of venting to a couple years ago about another person, and I was just like, this person is just not taking a chance, and I don't have room in my life for people that won't chase their dreams and won't change and won't like better themselves. Like I don't have any room for that in my inner circle.
Yeah.
And like 6 months later, she called me out of the blue and she was like, hey, you remember like we were talking and you were venting and like, she was like, you motivated me to make a big decision. She's like, I quit my job today.
Whoa.
And I was like, what? Like, holy crap. And she's like, I had been wanting to make a change. I had wanted to start my own company. And like,
it's having that courage, finding.
Yeah. And she was like, I felt like you weren't talking about me, but I felt like you were talking to me. Mm-hmm. And you gave me the courage. And she's like, what's the worst that can happen? Like I retire a year or two later than I expected. I said, stop even thinking that way.
Yeah.
And think about like, you could retire 10 years earlier.
My goals.
Yes. Then so like, don't even let your brain go to that. I mean, right. I don't start any new venture thinking, what if this doesn't work?
Yeah. Like, but there's a lot of people who think, and I've seen that sometimes how you experience change definitely depends on your outlook towards things. Are you an optimistic or pessimistic person? Because for some people, thinking of the negatives first is the first thing that they do, as opposed to an optimist who thinks, well, this could happen and this could happen and this could happen. So I think depending on whether you're pessimistic or optimistic, you experience change differently. I feel like the people who I would class as pessimistic are very scared during the process of change or taking on a new venture, but are extremely elated at the end because everything that could have been negative turned into a positive. And sometimes it may be different for someone who's optimistic, where you expect, these great things. They might not turn out as great as you expected, but I think it's okay because, the negatives, yes, but it's change, but you experience it different. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it all comes back to us as an individual person, like not depending on your sphere of people around you. Like everybody's different. Just because I'm friends with certain people doesn't mean we have the same mindset on things. But like I go back to being an athlete, and you as an athlete, if I was on the soccer field, like I wanted the ball.
Yeah.
Like if it was, last seconds of the game and there's an opportunity, like you got two kinds of people, right? You got the kind of person that wants the ball and they have all the faith in their self that they're going to score or they're going to win. Or you have other people that are like, don't look at me. Don't call my number. I don't want the ball, so I think that just goes, it's self-confidence. Like at the end of the day, like we all have to live our own lives. Right. And at the end of the day, when you're looking at a change in your life, you have to believe in yourself that you
can kick the ball in the goal.
That's right. That you are going to win. Like you're not going to let anybody else have any say in this. Like you're going to go for it and you're going to win. You're going to, you're not going to fail. Like failure is not an option.
But even if you did, the point is you learned something from shooting that ball.
Right.
You learn
you need to practice more.
Right. But still, maybe there's something you needed to change in your technique. Right. But if you had never tried, you're never going to know what other changes are necessary to get that goal in.
Yeah. It's like, this might be a whole nother topic for another day, but it is change and fear, I feel like go hand in hand. And there's a quote about, I had a friend of mine who, I had heard this quote many, many times, and she died in a tragic car accident. But one of the things that I remember about her was she was on Facebook and said, like, her challenge for that year was to do something every day that scared her. And I had heard that before, and I was like, whatever. Like, what are you going to do? Like, every day, something that scares you. But that quote meant a lot more to me after she passed away, because it's like, it's not something huge every day that scares you. It might be talking to somebody in your class. It might be, talking to the boy you like.
Right.
It might be making a cold call or putting yourself out there in some sort of way. Some small thing that is holding you back. And you know what happens is once you do that small thing, you gain confidence.
Yes.
And once you have a little more confidence, then you could do something that's a little bit more scary. And then every day that you do something that scares you, you start understanding that the things that scare you really aren't scary.
Yeah, that's growth.
And it is growth, and it's change. And once you continue to do those small things every day, your self-confidence goes up and up and up. And then you are looking at these opportunities as opportunities of positive change, not like, I'm scared I'm going to fail, because you've done all these small things to raise your self-confidence. And then when you find the right change to make, it's most likely going to turn out positive.
Yeah. It reminds me of, and this came to mind, something that you've said before, which is, and I believe this was a quote, you were quoting somebody else, and it said, if we don't change, we don't grow. If we don't grow, we aren't really living life.
No.
Right?
Can you imagine, like, if we didn't grow or we didn't change, we'd still be listening to like 8 tracks. There would be no Walkmans or CDs or iPods or, like
anything
just
like
the change of it. Like we've got to embrace things. So
yes.
I think today's episode is just about like setting yourself up for success and taking opportunities as they come. And when you're evaluating change in your life, whether it's a small thing or a big thing, like, first of all, look at all the positives that could come. And then like, if it didn't work out, what's really the worst that can happen? Yeah. Is that life-threatening? If it is, maybe you shouldn't do it.
Yeah. It's really just it's like, no, I was going to say when plants are growing, they need changes. They need daily changes, certain amount of light, certain amount of darkness in order to experience that change in growth and go through all that photosynthesis process. There has to be daily changes in order for that plant to grow. So grow your plants.
Says the medical person in the podcast.
Grow your plants, friends. Water yourself.
Yes. Don't be afraid of change. Embrace it. Get uncomfortable for a little while, and then like see this big step that you're going to take to be the person you want to become.
And with that being said, guys, out there, if you're listening, is there anything that you're contemplating in your life that you felt like, I want to go after this, or I want to change this? And how do you experience change? Is it positive, or do you start to think of the negatives first, And we'd just like to hear those stories, or even just the biggest change that you've had in your life, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to hear how you embrace change and what you're thinking you want to change, and your success stories from that.
Until next time, buddies.
Peace out.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of It Starts With Courage podcast with Kat and Jen. If you like this episode of the podcast, visit our website, iswcpodcast.com, for show notes and other cool things.